All right, I know that in this case you probably just, bring me the nicest one and you'd be happy with it, but I really insist on always taking the extra time and a little bit of effort here and doing a video. So for those of you who don't know who I am or who we are, my name is Jeremy, but that's kind of irrelevant. The company is Jeeps Unlimited, aka partsbreakers.com. We're located in Grand Junction, Colorado, and I'm about to list a tub for a customer. Now, this doesn't mean this one will sell. He may pick a different one out, but he asked me for the cleaner tubs, and this is probably the cleanest one of the cleanest. I may have one more, and I might even have that color you're looking for. So I'll briefly, I know you're going to paint it, but the color you have in case you didn't want to get on painting right away. And I didn't think we had. So I haven't looked at that one too close, and there's still quite a bit of stuff inside of it, but I don't think it would take too long to get it there. And that one still has a tailgate on it, which we normally pull, but if you need one, do check yours, because usually if your tub is rusty, they'll start rusting on the bottom lip, but yours may not be, so irrelevant if you don't need it. Anyway, so we're looking at a 97 to 01, I believe. Yep, this is the early style tub, and I believe you said you had an 01. I know you just told me that. My brain's in a fog, but if it is an 02, we'll have to go into a different tub because there are some slight differences. And for those of you who don't know that, and you've seen, for the last 10 years, you've seen them marked 9706. We did the same thing 18 years ago when I first got in that. We kind of, said TJ's a TJ, and they're all the same. And then we found out, usually the hard way, like always, that they're not. And when customers would go to fit things, it wouldn't bolt right up like, we promised it would, and then we'd be on the hook for it. So we sell them as the years that they will work, bolt on, are identical. And then if you want to buy one, off of later and put on earlier or vice versa, then by all means, you can do that. But there, like I said, there's some not huge things, but definitely some cutting and possibly even welding if you do decide to go that route. This one's a black tub. I've walked around it, other than the couple dings in the corner over here, and they're real small. This thing would be definitely an A grade. There's absolutely no rust in it. I got a couple intake manifolds we'll pull out of here and whatnot. And normally I would flip this over, but it's sitting up on a pallet. So it does have clean torque pockets. This one just came in, or just came off, and it was in the garage not but a week or so ago. So I would say this one would be the one to go with if you don't care about color at all. But that one might be a viable option too. And pricing, they should be about the same, if not the same. So I'll just go around it, and if there's anything I see, I won't point out all the good. That's kind of obvious. If there's anything I see on it that's bad or damaged or possible time prep later, I'll point that out. Otherwise, we'll just move on. So this is just needing to be clean. We haven't yet washed it. You can see I can pull the dirt off of it there. There's no rust or anything there, and all the holes for that fender flare there. It's got a nice cowl here. We had these stacked for a bit. We had another one that was stacked up on top of it because we pulled two apart at the same time, and I don't let the guys stack them unless they put some protection around on them so they don't nick them up too bad. So firewall, all factory, all original and all intact. No modifications or extra holes or things like that. And then you got your driver's side lower rocker here. This is all nice and clean. There's absolutely no damage down through there. Sometimes if they get wheeled in hard, they'll get a little bit of damage there on them. And then fender flares I normally pull, but those ones will just go with it. They could be brought back to black with a heat gun. Otherwise, you can get them new sets of them. So, okay. And then this is the only corner, and it's got about the size of a maybe $50 or so. That's got a ding in it right there, and a little bit of a scratch here. And maybe even a little bit of a ding there in it, just kind of right by that fender flare. So the good news is with both of these is that you can reach perfectly there, and you can get right behind this. So it's accessible, it's not boxed in. So when we get to damage, we always grade them on how hard they are to get in there. Obviously you're doing kind of a frame off on this thing, so that probably is something you'd want to have taken care of on it. But as far as like a used tub that is pretty clean, this would be definitely up there in the top one. So, and then of course your floorboards, and usually the driver's side almost always has at least the paint off and oxidized, but in this case you can see it's perfect. The other area that likes to go out on these, and I'll have to move those intakes to show you a little bit better, but is underneath these feet of the roll bar. Okay, so now the benefit of that other one is that the roll bar is still in it, and I have a ton of those, so I can get you one of those. I usually throw those in. This one does have a stud. You'd have to extract it anyway, so that it's got a little bit of time. All three are okay except for that guy right there. So that looks like they probably took. Usually I make my guys break them off, breaker bar them first, and unfortunately, we had a new guy working for us, and he took a impact to these right off the bat. Broke the tip of the tool and the bolt off eventually. So before I figured out what he was doing, but otherwise, back tunnel areas nice and clean. Not all wavies. You can tell it wasn't overloaded. And like I said, the torque pockets on the bottom of this one are just cherry. So that's a big deal to us. That's something that you'll never see our yard sell if they're if it's a tub that's got bad torque pockets. A couple of these had some that didn't pass inspection. This guy here, and there's a green one over there. Actually, that one was a rollover. That one had good torque pockets in it, but the top was crunch. This one did not have good torque pockets, which is unfortunate because it's actually a pretty nice tub. But, you know, it probably at some point in its life spent some time on the East Coast. And we don't always know that when we buy them. So it's kind of a bummer when you buy a Jeep and think you're going to get something rust-free. Now, here's the other one. I think this might actually be a color match for yours, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. You might have just that slighter teal color. But this is a nice tub. Now, I would want to get this one up at least on its side or up in the air. Probably not its side because I don't want to dent it with these fender flares. And double check. This one came apart a few months ago from a new dismantler we had, and he did such a terrible job, unfortunately, and just with some of the things he broke and whatnot, that I finally was just like, get it out of the garage. We were going after a harness in it, and we'll get it to it later. So, but the tub I believe is clean on this one, and I will verify that with those torque pockets. We'll walk around this one real quick and just make sure there's no damage that I see on it. Let's see. That looks good. Sometimes if they ever get hit, you always know because they'll buckle in the doors, and that's a pain in the ass to fix. So we try not to buy them when they're hit at all. Even a hit up in the front fender, this one's actually nice and clean. This was an unwrecked Jeep, but a fender hit will push in these right here at the firewall, and it's fixable. We've sold them before, and sometimes you don't have a choice, especially on LJ tubs, which are typically like that. But it is, if it's just in the front, it's not too big a deal, but usually that dent carries throughout the bottom of it, and then it makes the doors hard to fit and whatnot. So, but from everything I see on this one, with what we can see, obviously there's still some pieces hiding some things in here. This would appear to be another A-grade tub, at least from the size we're looking. There's nothing damaged through there. This all looks nice and clean. Back corner, the corner is not even dinged up on this one at all, it doesn't look like. Yeah, it's got nice clean corners on both sides. And then I assume that the bottom is good too. But if we're gonna do this one, I'll go ahead and have them empty it. There's a few things we gotta pull, but not too bad. And I'll throw this roll bar in, which will save you some time messing with yours if you don't want to mess with that, or if you don't want to chance it, because there always is a chance that there's something hiding on there. That's why we normally pull them. But usually we can tell by just looking. We pull back these liners that are inside these wheel wells, and you can usually tell if there's any spot browning at all, then it's a must to pull those and just double check that. So I'm not going to rant too long like I normally do. Point is that we're extremely thorough. This one is a little bit harder to be as thorough as I'd like to be right now, but if you go for it, with the time I have today, I can get this done. And if you don't want to mess with this, or you don't care, then I'd say let's go with that black one. It's ready to go. And as far as the roll bar goes, like I said, I have a few of those in the back, and I can still throw one of those in, so don't let that be the deal killer. That one does require that extracted bolt to be pulled, and those usually take about an hour, depending if you have a good drill bit set. Sometimes a little less. I can get them out pretty quickly. I just unfortunately don't have time right now to mess with it. Those are my two real clean tubs that I have. I believe this white one just sold, if I'm not mistaken. I think Chris just sold this to a New Jersey guy, and this one was a pretty clean tub as well. So I'll verify that, because he sold a white tub, and I don't remember which one he sold. So it could have been this one. If not, we could go with something like that. These are all early, and I think right now as far as A ones. I have a couple ones that have banged up corners that are rust free, but they have some pretty gnarly corners on them. Those ones are discounted fairly heavily. And then the rest of them, and just for you and anybody else that's interested, I'm not going to go too much into the detail on the channeling that's different on the later ones, because they do change some of the way that they're braced. But the main difference, the O2 is kind of a, and just in case you have an O2, I do have two clean O2s out here right now. These are like 1 year only. So they do the late style firewall. So they have the late heater. You notice the early ones have the cutout here. So that's usually not too big a deal. But the one that, this kind of makes it a pain if you don't have if you have an O2 and you need an O2. Not only that, because you know, you got to cut a firewall, but also this is where, and this for years I used to list these O2 to 06, and then one guy called and said his seat didn't fit, his rear seat. The O2s, this one's got actually some extra holes drilled in it back there, but anyway, the O2s use the early 97 to 02 seat, whereas the 03 to 06, which is the guy right next to it essentially, uses the 03 to 06 seats. There is a difference on the rear seat. The front seat you can literally bolt in and adapt either or. The back seat is 100% different. There's nutserts that aren't in there. The holes aren't there for the flooring. So it's best to stick with the year you need when it comes to a TJ tub, or at least a series. And that series again is 9701. Okay, and usually the way I identify them is that right there, that hole will give you the cutout on it. And then the O2s are a little harder to identify because they look kind of like a later tub, but they have an early seat in them. And then of course you get into these and it's the late seat later that there. So I appreciate your time today. Again, I do have, for those of you interested, I do have a couple frame options right now. We've been really low on those. Matter of fact, we've been pretty much sold out of those for about 3 months, but we have two of them. One's a 4-cylinder here, and then there's a 6-cylinder next to it that we should get a nice clean frame out from under. And then we do have some 03 to 06 frames at the moment. So definitely give us a call if you're looking for a frame. This is the season for tubs and frames. This is when we move almost all of our tubs and frames will be gone by, I would say tubs will be gone by about April, and by about mid-March we'll be completely out of our frames, and then it's spinning the rest of the year hunting down Jeeps again. So 303-666-9020, partsbreakers.com. I appreciate your time today. I'll get this uploaded and sent over to you, buddy, and we'll go from there. And I am going to go load the trailer, so I got a couple hours, but do let me know, and I'll touch base with you regardless. So okay, anybody else, we do ship. We ship worldwide. We had a tub literally go out to Spain last week, which is crazy, but they did it. So not super heavy, huge, obviously expensive to ship overseas on big items like that. We shipped some T98 transmission last week, United Kingdom, and it was actually surprisingly cheap. So we do ship a lot of international. We will ship big stuff. It does take a little bit effort to do, so be patient with us there. But for anybody in the U.S., we ship almost 24/7, 365 days a year on freight truck, or on hot shot now. We used to be almost exclusively freight truck for big items, and now we've found our own hot shot crew. It's been awesome, and we had a tub picked up this morning, and they'll be in New Jersey in 4 days, so it's crazy fast. All right, we appreciate it. Again, 303-666-9020. I always like to leave the date so you know if you're watching this how long ago it was. Like people that call me on videos that are 10 years ago, and usually it throws me. So the date is February 21st. I think it's 21st. Yes, because yesterday was my anniversary. So 21st of 2024. All right, and let us know if you need any other parts. Our whole website is getting a complete update, and by about May we should have that completely online. The one we have up right now is changing. It's not super accurate. What's listed is up and accurate, so if it says we have it, you're good. But if it doesn't say we have it, definitely call, because we're not updating, we're not replenishing stock right now on the old site. We're just selling what we have up there. Okay, thank you and have a great day.